The check felt heavy in my hands. $50,000. My entire savings for a down payment on a home, about to be handed over to my younger brother's latest groundbreaking venture. I stared at my signature, still wet on the paper, wondering if this was the moment I'd regret for the rest of my life. My name is Francesca, and I've spent 29 years being the responsible one, the reliable daughter, the human safety net for my brother Donovan's dreams. This is going to revolutionize social media as we know it. Donovan's voice bounced off the walls of our parents' dining room. He was pacing, tablet in hand, gesturing wildly at his PowerPoint presentation. Think Instagram meets LinkedIn meets AI matchmaking, but for entrepreneurs. Honey, it sounds amazing, Mom cooed, refilling his wine glass. Doesn't it sound amazing, Franklin? Dad beamed with pride. That's my boy, always thinking big. This is how empires are built. I cleared my throat. Have you done any market research, user testing? There are already several apps that… Francesca? Mum cut me off, her tone sharp despite her smile. Your brother is sharing his vision. Don't be negative. I pushed my barely touched lasagna around my plate. The same lasagna Mom made every time Donovan had big news to share. I'd learned to hate the smell of it. Actually, Donovan said, sliding into the chair next to me, that's why I wanted us all here tonight. I need seed money. Just enough to get the beta version launched. $50K should do it. The room went quiet. All eyes turned to me. You've been saving, haven't you, sweetheart? Mom's voice was honey-sweet poison. That money you were going to waste on a condo? It's not a waste. It's an investment in my… Family is the best investment, Dad interrupted. Your brother has real vision. You just need to find a good husband and settle down. Let the men handle the empire building. I felt my cheeks burn. I have a master's in finance. I work 60-hour weeks analyzing investment opportunities. Maybe I could look at his business plan. Donovan laughed. Come on, sis. This is tech. It's a bit more complicated than your spreadsheets. Francesca! Mom reached across the table, gripping my hand. Her nails dug into my skin. This is what family does. We support each other. Remember when you were little and broke your arm? Who carried your backpack to school every day? I was 7. He was 4. The point is, family steps up. Always. I looked around the table. Mum's pleading eyes. Dad's stern disappointment. Donovan's practiced puppy dog expression. The same look he'd used when he needed money for his failed cryptocurrency scheme last year, and his NFT marketplace the year before that. Fine. I pulled out my checkbook. But I want a formal agreement. Terms of repayment, equity stake. Oh, don't be so cold, Mom snapped. This isn't some Wall Street deal. This is your brother. I wrote the check. $50,000. My freedom fund. Gone with a single signature. Donovan snatched it up, grinning. You won't regret this, sis. In 6 months, we'll all be millionaires. To the future tech mogul. Dad raised his glass. This calls for champagne. As they rushed to the kitchen for celebrations, I sat alone at the table, staring at the empty space where my check had been. My phone buzzed, a text from my roommate Beatrice. Did they guilt you into it? I typed back. You know it. There goes my down payment. Girl, when are you going to stop setting yourself on fire to keep them warm? I looked up as my family returned, Mum carrying her special occasion champagne flutes, the ones she only brought out for Donovan's announcements. A toast, Donovan declared. To family, to success, to the next big thing. They clinked glasses. I raised mine mechanically, not drinking. Something cold and hard crystallized in my chest as I watched them celebrate my brother's dreams with my money. That's when I made the decision. This would be the last time. The last check, the last guilt trip, the last celebration of Donovan's genius at my expense. They had no idea what I was capable of, but they would learn. My phone buzzed again. Beatrice. You okay? I smiled for the first time that evening, typing back 3 words that would change everything. Watch me burn. 3 weeks after writing that check, I sat in my cubicle scrolling through Donovan's company Instagram. The photos were getting desperate. Stock images of hustle culture quotes and badly photoshopped mock-ups of his app interface. 0 engagement, except for Mom's enthusiastic comments. Your morning coffee order, boss lady. Beatrice placed a steaming cup on my desk. You look like you're plotting murder. Just watching my 50 grand circle the drain. I showed her the latest post. Donovan in a rented Tesla. #entrepreneur lifestyle. He's hired exactly 0 developers, but he's leased a startup workspace in the trendy part of town. Classic Donovan. Beatrice perched on my desk. Meanwhile, you've been here until midnight every day this week. What are you really working on? Before I could answer, my phone lit up with Mom's face. Don't, Beatrice started, but I was already answering. Francesca, thank God. Mom's voice was tight with panic. We need to talk about Donovan's situation. What situation? His dev team. There's been some misunderstandings about payment, and the workspace requires 3 months' deposit. No. The word came out sharper than I'd ever spoken to her. Excuse me? I said no, Mom. I'm not giving him more money. This isn't about giving. This is about believing in your brother's vision. He just needs a little more runway. He needs a reality check. I minimized the investment portfolio I'd been secretly building. Has he even written a line of code? You know he's more big picture. He's meeting with angel investors next week. Good. Let them fund him. The silence was arctic. I didn't raise you to be this selfish. No, you raised me to be an ATM. The line went dead. Beatrice whistled low. Look who finally grew a spine. But seriously, what are you doing here every night? I pulled up my private browser. Remember that financial blog I started last year? It's getting attention. Real attention. She leaned in, scanning the analytics. Holy shit. These engagement numbers. I've been writing about predatory startup culture and investment red flags. People are listening. I clicked to another tab. And investing based on my advice. Is that why you've been taking those coding classes? Knowledge is power. I needed to understand what I'm talking about. I smiled. Unlike some people. My email pinged. The sender made my heart stop. Valentin Lopez, CEO of Nexus Ventures. Dear Francesca, your analysis of tech startup failure patterns caught my attention. Would you be interested in discussing potential collaborations over coffee? Best, Val. Beatrice read over my shoulder and squealed. Val Lopez? The guy who turned down Shark Tank because he was too legitimate for them. This has to be a mistake. Check his LinkedIn. It's his real account. My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. I declined the call. You're not even curious what they want? Beatrice asked. Let me guess. Donovan's burning through runway faster than expected and needs an emergency cash injection. Right on cue, a text from Donovan. Hey sis, got a sec? Quick question about investor relations. I put my phone on silent and drafted a response to Valentin. What are you going to tell him? Beatrice asked. That I'd be happy to meet, and that I have some thoughts about predatory family funding in tech. Girl, Beatrice grinned. You're not just burning bridges, you're napalming them. My computer dinged, an alert from one of the developer forums I'd been monitoring. Someone claiming to be a former intern at Donovan's company was spilling tea. Holy shit, I muttered, reading. He didn't just fail to pay his devs, he stole their code. What are you going to do? I opened my investment portfolio again. While Donovan had been burning through my money, I'd been quietly building something of my own. Small positions in legitimate startups, careful options plays, a growing network of actually competent tech professionals. I'm going to get coffee with Valentin Lopez, I said, typing my response. And then I'm going to make sure my dear brother learns about karma. My phone lit up again. Mom's third attempt. The text preview read, "Your brother is having a panic attack because of you." I turned the phone face down. "Beatrice, want to help me pick an outfit for coffee with a billionaire? Only if you promise to tell me what you're really planning." I closed my laptop, thinking of all those family dinners where they'd dismissed my little spreadsheets and basic finance degree. I'm planning to show them exactly how much they underestimated me. Beatrice raised her coffee cup in a toast. "Now, that's the kind of family drama I'm here for." The developer forum notification blinked again. Someone else had receipts. The house of cards was starting to wobble, and I had front row seats to watch it fall. The coffee shop Valentin chose was understated. No pretentious latte art or Silicon Valley bros with laptops. He was already there when I arrived, dressed in a simple black sweater, looking more like a college professor than a tech mogul. "Francesca," he stood, extending his hand. "Your piece on family-funded startups was enlightening, particularly the part about emotional collateral." I sat down, fighting the urge to fidget. Most people only read my market analysis. Most people miss the important details. He slid a folder across the table. "Like how you've been quietly building a remarkable investment portfolio while writing about tech failures." My coffee arrived. I took a sip to hide my surprise. "You've done your homework." "So have you. Your brother's startup, for instance. You knew it would fail before you wrote that check, didn't you?" The cup froze halfway to my lips. "How did you—" "Public records. Plus, the tech community is smaller than people think." He leaned forward. "Why did you do it?" "Sometimes you have to lose a battle to win a war." His eyes crinkled. "Now that's the kind of thinking I'm interested in. How would you like to help me evaluate potential acquisitions? Strictly confidential, of course." Before I could respond, my phone erupted. 3 texts in rapid succession. "Mom, answer your phone right now." "Dad, your brother needs you. Family emergency." "Donovan, the investors are backing out. I need damage control." "Speaking of family." Valentin nodded at my buzzing phone. "Seems like they're realizing their safety net has developed a spine." I switched the phone to silent. They're not used to hearing no. "And how does that make you feel?" "Like I should have said it years ago." He smiled, opening the folder. "Let me tell you about a company I'm looking to acquire. They're solid, but the founder has a blind spot when it comes to family funding." My phone lit up again, a number I didn't recognize. Then, an email notification. "Urgent. Evidence of code theft at Startup Vision." "Excuse me," I said, scanning the email. It was from someone named Zara, claiming to be Donovan's former lead programmer. "I have proof your brother stole our code. Meeting in person only. This goes deeper than you think." Valentin watched me with knowing eyes. Sometimes the best revenge is simply letting truth come to light. "I should take this," I said, standing. "Of course." He handed me a business card. "Come by my office tomorrow, 9 a.m. We'll discuss terms." I was halfway to the door when he called out, "Francesca? The company I mentioned? The founder's blind spot? It's your brother's." My phone buzzed again as I hit the street. Mom's voice was shrill when I answered. "Where have you been? Your brother is having a crisis." "I'm busy, Mom. Busy. The investors found some horrible lies online about the company. Your brother says someone's trying to sabotage him." "Maybe they just did their due diligence." "This is serious. He needs $30,000 to keep the office space and pay his legal retainer." I laughed. Actually laughed. "No." "What do you mean, no? We're family." "Family doesn't exploit family." "How dare you? After everything we've done for you, Like what, Mom? Teaching me my only value is in supporting Donovan's dreams? That my education and experience mean nothing compared to his vision? You're just jealous because I have to go. I'm meeting someone about stolen code. I hung up on her sputtering and texted Zara, "Where do you want to meet?" The response came immediately. "Library, 3rd floor, 1 hour, bring your laptop." My phone lit up with another call, Dad this time. I declined it and opened my rideshare app. As I waited for my car, I checked my investment portfolio. The small positions I'd been building were growing. Green arrows across the board. Real companies. Real products. Real returns. Another text from Donovan. "Whatever you're doing, stop it. You're ruining everything." I smiled, thinking of the folder Valentin had shown me. My brother's company was worth more as a cautionary tale than a going concern, and I was about to meet someone with proof. The rideshare pulled up. As I got in, a final text came through from Beatrice. "Girl, you're trending on tech Twitter. Someone leaked your article about family-funded startup failures to all Donovan's investors. You beautiful, ruthless queen." I leaned back in the seat, watching the city scroll by. They wanted a family emergency? I was about to give them one they'd never forget. "To the public library," I told the driver. "I'm meeting someone about karma." Zara was exactly what I expected from a lead programmer. Sharp eyes behind thick-rimmed glasses, no-nonsense posture, and a laptop covered in stickers from various tech conferences. She didn't waste time on pleasantries. "Your brother is a fraud," she said, opening her laptop. "And I can prove it." She pulled up a folder of screenshots, emails, and text messages. He didn't just steal code. He stole it from his former roommate's startup and claimed it was his original work. I leaned in, scanning the evidence. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because the roommate committed suicide 3 months ago." Zara's voice cracked. "He was my friend, and your brother. He just kept going like nothing happened." My hands started shaking. "I need to see everything." For the next hour, Zara walked me through a digital paper trail of deception. Stolen code repositories, faked user metrics, forged testimonials. But the worst was the text exchange between Donovan and his former roommate. "You can't prove anything. Who do you think they'll believe? The dropout with depression or the guy with the perfect pitch deck? Back off, or I'll make sure you never work in tech again." 2 days later, the roommate was gone. "Jesus Christ," I whispered. "That's not all." Zara pulled up bank statements. "See these investor deposits? They're coming from shell companies linked to some very questionable sources. Your brother's not just committing fraud, he's laundering money." My phone buzzed. Dad again. "Your mother is in tears. Call us immediately." I declined the call. "Can you send me copies of everything?" "Already did. Check your encrypted email." Zara closed her laptop. "What are you going to do?" I opened my phone and created a new email address. "I'm going to make an anonymous tip to every tech journalist I know." "The IRS might be interested too," Zara said quietly. "Especially in those shell companies." My phone lit up with a text from Valentin. "Heard some interesting chatter about your brother's investors. Coffee tomorrow?" Then another call from Mom. This time I answered. "How could you?" she screamed. "The investors are pulling out because of your horrible article. Your brother says you've ruined him." "Did he tell you about his roommate, Mom? The one who killed himself?" "What are you talking about? Stop making things up." "Ask him about the stolen code. Ask him where his investor money really comes from." "You're just trying to hurt him because you're jealous. He's your brother." "Not anymore." I hung up and blocked her number. Zara watched me with understanding. Family can be the worst betrayal. They're not family anymore. They're just people who made the wrong enemy. I stood up, gathering my things. Thank you for showing me this. What will you do now? I checked my email. Valentin had sent over a contract for a consulting position. 6 figures, equity options, a chance to do things right. I'm going to make sure karma hits harder than a market crash. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Donovan, using a friend's phone. Whatever you think you know, back off. You're just a jealous bitch who couldn't handle my success. I'll destroy you. I showed Zara the text. Want to help me destroy him first? She smiled, opening her laptop again. I thought you'd never ask. We spent the next 2 hours crafting anonymous tips. To journalists, to the IRS, to the SEC, to every investor listed in his pitch deck. Each tip included carefully selected evidence, just enough to start investigations, but not enough to reveal our hands. It's done, Zara said, sending the last email. Now we wait. My phone buzzed one final time. Dad, you've broken your mother's heart. I hope you're happy with yourself. I typed back. Ask Donovan about the money laundering. Ask him about the suicide. Then talk to me about broken hearts. Zara touched my arm. Are you okay? I looked at my phone, at the blocked numbers and angry texts, at the contract from Valentin waiting in my inbox, at the truth finally coming to light. I'm better than okay, I said. I'm free. As we packed up to leave, Zara paused. Your brother, when it all comes out, he might try to blame you. Let him try. I've got receipts for everything, including that first check he guilted out of me. You knew even then, didn't you, that it would come to this? I thought back to that family dinner, to the weight of that check in my hands. I knew I had to let him fail on his own terms. I just didn't know how many people he'd hurt along the way. We walked out of the library into the fading afternoon light. My phone was finally quiet, but I knew it wouldn't last. The storm was coming, and I was ready for it. I still can't believe this is your new place, Beatrice said, sprawling on my leather couch. A month ago, we were sharing that cramped apartment, and now you're in a high-rise condo. I handed her a glass of wine and settled into the window seat overlooking the city. Amazing what you can afford when you stop bankrolling other people's delusions. Speaking of delusions, she held up her phone, showing me a social media post. Donovan, standing in front of his now empty office space, announcing the exciting pivot of his company. He's still trying to save face, I said, sipping my wine. Even after 3 major tech blogs exposed the stolen code. Your parents are still defending him. Your mum's been commenting on every negative article, calling it a smear campaign by jealous competitors. My phone buzzed. A text from Valentin. Turn on Channel 7 News. Now. I grabbed the remote. The headline made my heart stop. Local tech startup under federal investigation for fraud and money laundering. Breaking news, the anchor announced. Startup Vision, a local tech company, is facing federal scrutiny after anonymous sources revealed evidence of code theft and financial irregularities. The company's founder, Donovan Bennett, has reportedly received investments from shell companies linked to international criminal organizations. Beatrice whistled. Damn, girl. When you do karma, you do it properly. My phone exploded with notifications. First, Mom. What have you done? The FBI just took your brother's computers. Then Dad. Your brother is being persecuted and you're sitting there doing nothing. Call us now. Should I block them too? I asked, showing Beatrice. Wait, she said, grabbing my arm. Look at the TV. The news had cut to a live shot outside Donovan's office. He was being escorted out by federal agents, trying to shield his face from cameras. Behind him, more agents carried boxes of evidence. My phone rang. Valentin. Are you watching? He asked when I answered. Every glorious second. Good, because Phase 2 starts tomorrow. How do you feel about being announced as our new chief risk officer? I smiled. Will the press release mention my previous investment experience, including your prescient analysis of fraudulent startups? Absolutely. 9 a.m. tomorrow. Wear something camera-ready. After hanging up, I turned to find Beatrice grinning at me. You magnificent bitch. You're not just watching him fall, you're rising from his ashes. Another text came through, this one from an unknown number. I opened it to find a message from my Aunt Clara, who I hadn't heard from in years. Saw the news. Your mother did the same thing to me when we were young, always favoring the son, destroying the daughter. Call me. It's time you knew everything. What is it? Beatrice asked, seeing my expression. Possibly the final piece of the puzzle. I forwarded her the text. Remember how Mom always said Aunt Clara abandoned the family out of jealousy? Holy shit. This is getting better than Netflix. My intercom buzzed. The doorman's voice crackled. Ms. Francesca, your parents are here demanding to see you. Should I send them up? I pressed the button. No, Thomas. In fact, they're permanently banned from the building. Very good, ma'am. I walked to the window, watching as my parents were escorted out to the street. Mum was crying dramatically. Dad was red-faced, shouting at the security guard. You know they'll try your office next, Beatrice said. Already handled. Security has their photos. Besides, I held up my resignation letter. As of tomorrow, I'll be working from the top floor of the Nexus building. My phone chimed with an email notification. The first tech blog had picked up the story about my new position at Nexus Ventures. The headline read, Rising star in finance takes chief risk officer role after exposing major startup fraud. They don't know it was you, Beatrice said, reading over my shoulder, about the tips and evidence. They never will. I forwarded the article to my parents' emails, but they'll figure it out eventually, when they realize exactly what I've built while they were busy worshipping their golden boy. Speaking of, Beatrice pointed to the TV where they were showing Donovan being processed at the federal building. The ticker below read, Startup founder faces up to 20 years for fraud charges. I raised my wine glass. To karma. To karma. Beatrice clinked her glass against mine. And to the sister they should have believed in. My phone lit up one last time. A text from Zara. Justice for Marcus. She'd attached a photo of her friend, Donovan's former roommate, smiling at a coding conference. I saved the photo. Tomorrow, his story would be part of my first initiative at Nexus, a fund for supporting ethical tech startups. Let them call it karma. I called it justice. The knock on my office door came at exactly 6:47 p.m., 3 weeks after Donovan's arrest. I knew it was them before my assistant's voice crackled over the intercom. Ms. Francesca, your parents are here. They don't have an appointment, but they're insisting. Send them in, Sarah. I straightened the papers on my desk, adjusting my nameplate. Chief Risk Officer, Nexus Ventures. They looked smaller somehow. Mom's designer clothes seemed wrinkled, Dad's shoulders hunched. The mighty had fallen, and they'd fallen hard. Nice office, Dad said, trying for his old authoritative tone but failing. Corner view. Must be expensive. What do you want? Mum burst into tears. Not the manipulative ones I'd grown up with, real, desperate sobs. They're selling the house, the lawyers, the legal fees. Donovan needs, let me guess. I leaned back in my chair. You need money. He's your brother! Dad slammed his hand on my desk. He's facing 20 years. He's facing consequences. I pulled out a folder. Would you like to see what those consequences are for? The code he stole? The death he caused? The money he laundered? Those are lies, Mom shrieked. Jealous people trying to destroy him, just like you. I opened my laptop, turned it toward them. Here's Donovan's text messages to Marcus before he died. Here's the proof of stolen code. Here's the bank transfers from known criminal organizations. Would you like me to continue? They stared at the screen, color draining from their faces. That's not, Dad started. Not what? Not the golden boy you raised? Not the empire builder you sacrificed everything for? Including your daughter? We never sacrificed you, Mom protested. Really? I pulled up another document. Let's talk about Aunt Clara. They froze. Yeah, we had a long chat. She told me everything. How you did the same thing to her that you did to me. Always favoring the son, destroying the daughter's confidence, taking her money for family investments that mysteriously never paid off. That's ancient history, Dad muttered. It's a pattern, one that ends today. I stood up, walking to the window. You're not getting any money from me. Not for lawyers, not for the house, not for anything. But we're family, Mom wailed. I turned back to them, ice in my voice. Family? Was it family when you took my savings? When you dismissed my education? When you called me jealous for questioning Donovan's obvious fraud? We were trying to protect him, Dad shouted. And who was protecting me? The silence was deafening. Security will escort you out, I said, pressing the intercom. Don't come back. You can't do this to us, Mom whispered. We're your parents. No, you're the people who taught me exactly what I don't want to be. I handed them each a document. This is a legal notice. Contact me again, and I'll file for a restraining order. You wouldn't dare, Dad started. Try me. I learned from the best how to destroy family ties. Security appeared at the door. Professional, discreet, firm. This isn't over, Dad threatened as they were led out. Actually, it is. I watched them go, then texted Beatrice. It's done. My phone immediately rang. Valentin. Your parents just left looking shell-shocked, he said. You okay? Never better. How's the Marcus Foundation coming along? Press conference tomorrow. His parents want to meet you. Turns out your brother wasn't the only visionary who stole from vulnerable developers. Good. Let's make sure he's the last. After hanging up, I opened my email to find a message from Aunt Clara. Heard through the grapevine what happened. Proud of you, kid. Coffee soon? I smiled, responding with a quick, yes. My assistant buzzed again. Ms. Francesca? There's a reporter here from Tech Weekly. They want to comment about your brother's case. Tell them the Chief Risk Officer of Nexus Ventures has no comment about private family matters. I paused. But I'd be happy to discuss our new initiative supporting ethical tech startups. Yes, ma'am. I looked out my window at the city skyline, at all the lights coming on as dusk settled. Somewhere out there, Donovan was in a cell, Mom and Dad were losing their house, and their perfect family facade was crumbling. My phone buzzed one last time. Beatrice had sent a photo. It was from that family dinner, the night I wrote the check. I was sitting alone at the table, watching them celebrate. Look how far you've come, she wrote. From their ATM to their worst nightmare. I saved the photo, a reminder of where I'd been and why I'd never go back. The light on my desk blinked. My next appointment was waiting. Time to build something real. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters when I arrived. Donovan's sentencing had drawn quite a crowd. I adjusted my blazer and walked straight through them, ignoring the shouted questions. Inside, the conference room was smaller than I expected. Valentin sat beside me, a silent pillar of support. Across the table, Donovan slouched in his orange jumpsuit, handcuffs glinting under the fluorescent lights. Mom and Dad huddled on either side of him with their new bargain bin lawyer. Let's make this quick, the lawyer said, shuffling papers. My client is willing to make a deal. We're not here for a deal, I replied, sliding a document across the table. We're here for closure. Donovan sneered. Still playing the victim, sis, even after you destroyed our family. You did that yourself. I'm just here to make it official. The lawyer read the document, eyes widening. This is a complete severance of familial and financial ties, Valentine explained. Miss Francesca is legally disconnecting herself from the family. You can't do this! Mom reached for my hand. I pulled back. I already have. This meeting is a courtesy. A courtesy? Dad's face reddened. You bankrupted us. We had to sell everything. Actually, I pulled out another document. Your son's fraud bankrupted you. I just refused to bail him out. Because you're jealous, Donovan spat. You couldn't stand that I was more successful. Successful? I laughed. You stole code from a man who killed himself because of you. You laundered money for criminals. You're facing 15 years in federal prison. That's not success, that's delusion. I was building something real. No, you were destroying real things for fake glory. I stood up, signed the papers. Or what? Mom challenged. Or I release everything. Every manipulative text. Every guilt trip. Every financial abuse from the past decade. I'm sure the prosecutors would love to add family financial fraud to the charges. The lawyer whispered something to Donovan, who paled. You wouldn't, Dad said. I pulled out my phone, showing them the drafted email. Try me. Donovan grabbed the papers, scrawling his signature. Mom started crying as she signed. Dad's hand shook. Congratulations, I said, collecting the signed documents. You're officially free of your burden. You know, the daughter you never wanted. Francesca, please, Mom sobbed. We can fix this. No, we can't. But I fixed myself. I nodded to Valentine. Let's go. We have a foundation to launch. A foundation? Donovan called after me. What foundation? I turned at the door. The Marcus Foundation, supporting ethical developers and exposing tech fraud. Your case study is Chapter 1. His face contorted. You bitch! Goodbye, Donovan. Enjoy federal prison. Outside, reporters swarmed again. This time I stopped. Ms. Francesca, any comment on your brother's sentencing? Yes. I straightened my shoulders. The Marcus Foundation, in partnership with Nexus Ventures, is announcing a $10 million initiative to support ethical tech development and prevent fraud. We believe in building real value, not stealing it. Are these funds coming from your family's assets? No, they're coming from my work, my investments, and my belief in actual innovation. I smiled directly into the cameras. Sometimes the best revenge is massive success. Valentine guided me through the crowd to his waiting car. That was perfect, he said as we pulled away. The Foundation's PR team couldn't have scripted it better. My phone buzzed. A text from Zara. Marcus's parents watched the announcement, their crying happy tears. Thank you. Then another from Aunt Clara. Saw you on TV. That's my niece. Dinner tonight? And finally, Beatrice. You absolute queen. Come home, I've got champagne. Where to? Valentine asked. I looked back at the courthouse, where my former family was probably still reeling. The office. We have real work to do. You know, he said carefully, most people would feel something. Regret, maybe. Sadness. I did feel something. I watched the courthouse disappear in the side mirror. I felt free. My phone lit up one last time, an unknown number. I almost declined it, but something made me answer. Ms. Francesca? A young voice. I'm a programming student. I saw your announcement about the foundation. I have some code I think someone's trying to steal. I sat up straighter. Tell me everything. As she talked, I thought about that family dinner months ago, about the check I wrote knowing it would lead here, about the daughter they underestimated becoming the woman they couldn't control. Don't worry, I told the student. We'll help you build something real. And that's exactly what I intended to do. The autumn breeze carried the sound of applause as I stepped away from the podium. Behind me, the giant screen showed the Marcus Foundation's latest success stories. 12 ethical startups funded, 3 major fraud cases exposed, and a new scholarship program for underprivileged developers. That was quite a speech, Aunt Clara said, hugging me as I left the stage. Especially the part about family legacies. I learned from the best. I squeezed her hand. Thanks for being here. Wouldn't miss it. Though you might want to check your phone. Someone's been trying to reach you. I pulled out my phone to find several missed calls from an unknown number. As we walked toward the reception area, it rang again. Hello? Francesca? A familiar voice, but different. Broken. It's Mom. I stopped walking. Clara touched my arm, but I shook my head. What do you want? I saw your speech online. She paused. About legacy. About how family isn't who raises you, but who helps you rise. And? You were right. About everything. Her voice cracked. I did to you what my mother did to Clara. What her mother did to her. I perpetuated a cycle of favoring sons and crushing daughters, and I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix anything. I know. That's not why I called. She took a shaky breath. I called because I'm in therapy. Real therapy. And I wanted you to know that you didn't just break the cycle. You shattered it. I watched the crowd mingling at the reception, saw Zara showing Marcus's parents the new developer protection program named after their son. Does Dad know you're calling? We're separated. After Donovan's sentencing, he couldn't handle the shame, kept trying to blame everyone else. But I couldn't live in denial anymore. Valentin appeared at my elbow, holding 2 champagne glasses. I waved him off. What do you want from me, Mom? Nothing. That's what I finally understood. You don't owe me anything. I saw what you've built, how you're helping people. And I wanted you to know that at least one of your parents finally sees you. I thought about all the family dinners, all the dismissive comments, all the times they'd made me feel small. You're right. I don't owe you anything. But I watched a young female developer receiving her foundation grant, beaming with pride. Maybe someday we can have coffee, not as mother and daughter, as 2 women breaking generational cycles. She started crying. Not the manipulative tears I grew up with. Real, healing tears. I'd like that. Whenever you're ready. I hung up and turned to find Beatrice grinning at me. Look at you, all growth and healing and shit, she said, handing me a champagne glass. Should we be worried? Nah. I clinked my glass against hers. Just closing chapters properly this time. Speaking of chapters, Valentine joined us, tablet in hand. Donovan's appeal was denied. 15 years. No parole. Good. I looked around the reception hall at all the lives being changed. Let's focus on building things up instead of tearing people down. Ms. Francesca? A young voice interrupted. The programming student who'd first called me about stolen code stood there, clutching an award. I just wanted to say thank you. My app launches next week and it's actually mine. All mine. I hugged her. That's what real success feels like. Aunt Clara appeared with Zara and Marcus's parents. Ready for the announcement? I nodded, following them back to the podium. The crowd quieted as I took the microphone. Today, we're not just celebrating success stories. We're announcing the launch of our global initiative, the RISE program. Because true innovation doesn't come from stealing dreams, it comes from supporting them. The crowd erupted in applause. From the back, I spotted my mother slipping in quietly, not trying to be seen, just watching. They tried to make me a supporting character in someone else's story, I continued, Instead, I learned to write my own, and now we're helping others do the same. Later, as the evening wound down, Beatrice found me on the balcony. "Your mom stayed the whole time," she said. "Never approached, just watched." "I know. You okay?" I looked out at the city lights, thinking of that first check I wrote, of all the paths that led here. "You know what? I really am." My phone buzzed. Another young developer seeking help. Another story waiting to be rewritten. "Ready to go change more lives?" Valentine called from the doorway. I smiled, turning away from the view. The past could keep its darkness. I had light to spread. "Always," I said. "Let's build something real."